Now we're off to Hawke's Bay, where permaculture principles guide a family's growing business. Janina Schwaneker is meeting nursery owner and gardener Joe Duff and her team of little helpers.
The ducks and chickens here at Kahikatea Farm have an important role, hunting out all the bugs and pests which might prey on the plants grown here in the nursery. As in most permaculture systems, they also have a few additional benefits. An endless source of entertainment for the Duff family.
Since we've had ducks and bantams in the nursery, it's just changed it completely, and everyone who works here really loves having them around as well. And yeah, it makes you slow down, because you just stop and watch what they're doing or have a laugh at, some antics, whatever, or coo over the little babies. And every spring comes around and you go, oh my God, those ducklings are so cute, and the novelty never wears off. And we're so busy in spring, it's so nice to have that lovely distraction, and it does make you slow down.
There was no slowing down when Joe, her husband Aaron and their kids first arrived on the 6-hectare property in Poukawa 20 years ago. Since then, they've transformed bare paddocks into an abundant organic nursery, growing permaculture plants and a lush food forest. There are dogs and horses now too, alongside the chooks and ducks.
So this is the nursery is on this side of the driveway, vegetable garden on the other side. Nursery is our main business. The vegetable garden supports our family and anybody else who's staying here at the time. So we've got lots of volunteers and stuff, plus staff to take home bits and pieces, or anybody volunteering from off-site, that sort of thing. And then we've got a horse track system down that end, silver pasture out beyond the veggie garden. Out past the nursery, we've got our planned new herb garden, and then beyond us that way is the food forest, which is about 3 acres.
And I suppose the layout of all of these various parts of the business and of your family home are following the designs of permaculture, really.
Exactly, yes. So that kind of underlies everything we do here, the permaculture ethics, and then the actual design principles, earth care, fair share, and people care. And then the principles are based on the principles of nature. So always our question is, how does nature do it? Usually gives us a good answer.
Well, shall we start and have a bit of a wander through some of the things in the nursery?
Yeah, absolutely.
Is that a good place to start?
Sure.
Joe says it was a no-brainer when it came to gaining organic certification in 2010. For her and the family, it's all about working with nature.
The certification process for us was actually very easy because it's not the same as growing in soil where you need a 3-year conversion process, because everything we're growing in is potting media that is bought in and pre-certified. So actually that process was pretty easy. The seeds, we were already sourcing as much organic seed as we could. If we can't get organic, we're allowed to get non-organic as long as it's not treated or genetically modified, obviously. And then obviously what fertilisers we use in the nursery and what, any sprays and stuff. But both of those are absolutely minimal. The potting mix has got fertiliser to last it a good wee while. That's based on mostly on seaweed, compost, and then a trichoderma, which is a friendly microorganism which aids with root development and just the basic health of the plant. And most things are out the door before really we need to give them an extra feed. And if we do, that's a seaweed fertiliser. In terms of pest management, in terms of little bugs, generally we don't have a lot of problems. At this time of year, we do, get aphids just like everybody. We get onion aphids. They're our worst problem, really. They get a good hose down and a good talking to. Occasionally we just have to bin plants and we just take the economic hit. That's just part of it. But we do only grow small quantities of lots of different things. So that diversity, which is another permaculture principle, is also operational in the nursery and, means we're never taking a huge economic loss.
I suppose a bit of companion planting. Some plants might attract things which you don't mind taking a loss on versus other plants which might help repel some of the insect pests as well.
Yeah, that's right. We never put 2 allium species next to each other in the nursery, for example, so that we're not getting a spread of those pests. The green aphids are easier to control. We do buy in things from Bioforce. We use like lacewings or aphidius, which are predatory organisms, which we release in the space, and usually that does the trick. And then because we've got such biodiversity around the nursery, we've usually got a good ladybird population that's building up. It's just a question of being patient and waiting for them to build up and get themselves in here on the back of the aphids hatching. So, yeah. And then in terms of the bigger things like slugs and snails, we've got our friends in here.
I thought
in
I
the
heard
nursery.
someone.
Yes, so they're a little bit quiet at the moment. Our bantam hens and our we've got two types of ducks now. We've got Indian runner ducks and cayugas. Most of the hens are actually raising families right now or are sitting on eggs, and it's afternoon quiet time. But it's quite raucous in here at feeding time. And yeah, they eat the slugs and the snails. There's a few plants that they eat as well, of course, and we've learned over time, like sedums, for example, need to be well out of their way, otherwise they have a good old nibble on those. And things like lavender that have got very breakable branches, we've had to get them well out of their way as well because the chickens just like to sit on them and break them. So this is just baby food, actually.
Oh, they all come running. So you've got a lovely mix of chickens and a few ducks you pointed out here. These lovely black with almost greenish undertones.
Yes, those are the cayugas. They will be going out on the farm. We just got those recently, but we will be finding another spot for them. It's the Indian runner ducks that we want in the nursery mainly. And then, the bantam hens so that they're not too heavy on the plants. But because they're such good mothers, we also use the bantams to raise the other chickens that we have in other places on the farm. So we have Rhode Island Reds in one area and Black Orpingtons in another area, doing different jobs. This is Emile and Cordelia.
Now, is Cordelia a runner duck?
They both
They
are,
both are.
yes. But he's got a better form, like if you were actually showing the breed. He's still not perfect, but I'm not interested in that side of things anyway. We're mostly interested in ducks being friendly and eating lots of slugs and snails. So
Yeah. And runner ducks are some of the larger of the domestic duck, aren't they, I think? Or longer?
in height-wise they are, but not in weight. You know, they're not a good meat breed particularly. But they're good at laying eggs and they're good at pest control. So.
Some plants have to be protected themselves from the nursery's fierce feathered defenders. Particularly tasty crops are fenced off or placed on the upper levels. Jo now grows around 400 varieties of perennial vegetables, edible and medicinal herbs, dye plants, companion plants, shrubs and trees, all suited to permaculture systems.
You can see that there's some trays of plants on pallets there that are fenced off completely. Those are both bog plants. One's blue flag iris and the other one is sweet flag. Both of them are medicinal herbs and dye plants, but they're plants that the ducks like to either eat or sit on and are quite vulnerable, so they get fenced off. They're also planted out in this area that we're looking at here, which we call our duckscaping project, so landscaping for ducks. So obviously the ducks need some water.
They've got a lovely little bathtub full of some water and some rocks, I suppose.
Yeah, so they're it's on a raised mound. We started off with one of those little blue paddling pools, you know. But
a little clamshell.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, but you have to empty it every day. You know, that water, where is it going? It's going in the same spot, causing erosion. It stinks, and it's hard work. So we wanted to, again, use permaculture principles and say, right, how can we capture the fertility and the water? And so there's a concept of fertigation, so irrigation and fertilisation at the same time. So we needed to raise the water somehow, so we built a mound, put the bathtub, sunk the bathtub in it, planted around it with plants that either feed the ducks or provide habitat for them, like those big grasses over there, they're like reeds. And then when we pull the plug, the water goes out of a channel and down into a natural sink with a planting berm around it. So the water gets captured in the sink and leaches out into the berm where the plants can make use of the water. And we're trying bananas here. We're very out of zone, really. You can see that they are growing. It's basically an annual crop, well, not even a crop, an annual bit of fun project. So they die back every winter and they grow again. But the leaves are, again, they're edible to animals, whether it's the ducks or stock, so horses or cattle or whatever. This one's our germination tunnel.
So it's going to be nice and warm, I imagine, in here.
It's warm, yes. So the seeds actually, the trays go into our house first when they're first sown. because that's a nice even temperature day and night. We don't heat any of the polytunnels, so everything is grown in as natural conditions as possible. So there is a temperature fluctuation here day and night, whereas in the house there's not. We've got a wood stove, so they go under the kitchen table, piles and piles of them. Like we grow or sow maybe over 200, 300 varieties every season. So the trays are in and out all the whole time. It's not super convenient, but it's, I don't want to build excess infrastructure or, power things that don't need to be powered. Everything we do is very low tech, and it's our whole lifestyle. It's just what we do.
And you enjoy it as well.
Exactly, yeah. So yeah, lots of different varieties out here germinating, various stages of germination, many of them crying out to be pricked out, that's next week's job. Everything we grow in the nursery and sell, all the plants are what you would class as permaculture plants. They all have at least one main function, and hopefully several other functions as well. So they attract pollinating insects, they're nitrogen fixing, they're medicinal herbs, they're edible leaves, they're perennial vegetables. Yeah, they've got to have a use. We don't grow what we call roundabout plants.
Fair enough.
We also focus on perennials, not annuals. Having said that, annuals is where we started out. Soon realised that
it's just a little too labour intensive.
It's very labour intensive. There's a lot of wastage and not a lot of money in punnets of annuals. But we do, and we started out at our local organic store, and they did ask that we could keep supplying something. So we do just potted single plants through the growing season, so tomatoes, eggplants, capsicums, that sort of thing. So that's in the tunnel too. And then in the third tunnel we've got some subtropical stuff, a lot of which is just for kind of trialling out on the farm, really seeing what, where the break point is and what can survive and what can't.
What's this little space here? This is the potting room, I suppose?
Yeah, this is our potting shed. So actually, if you turn around and look in the garden, you'll see our original potting shed.
Oh, it's much smaller.
It is. So it's now a garden shed for tools. So that's what we started in. It wasn't in that position, but we've dragged it over the driveway and into the garden. And about 10 years ago, we built this new potting shed. It was about the time we started sending plants, couriering plants around the country. I got our first website up and running. So 95% of what we sell is online through our website. Trying to pack plants in that tiny space and also pot plants in the same space, and the soils, the potting mix is wet and everything. It's, hopeless.
Am I right in understanding you also sometimes run workshops or you help teach people permaculture principles? Is this a space that you might use to do that, or...?
We if it's wet, we do. When I'm running proper permaculture and food forest classes, and we do need some good classroom time, I've used the local school, which is a couple of minutes up the road, and then we've got the school hall where we've got good toilet facilities and kitchen facilities and everything on site. So that's worked really well. But if I'm doing tours, then if we do need to duck in here, we do, and people like to see it anyway.
It's a good sized space. I can see why you needed to expand as well. Everything's kind of got a place for that job, I suppose.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I wouldn't change a thing after 10 years. It's still brilliant. We're really happy with how it works. We even got power in here a couple of years ago. That was quite exciting. We can turn on a light on a winter morning. That's quite nice. And then on the packing side, the doors don't have any steps, which means we can load the
straight into the
waist height, so you're not breaking your back. And when the courier pulls up, the driveway is a circular driveway. The courier pulls up from one direction. He can load out at the right height as well, and then he just drives off straight round in the circle. So
very efficient.
Yeah, it works really well.
Jo Duff there from Kahikatea Farm in Poukawa, south of Hastings.